I'm Gib, Ogre, Dr. Death, Jackson, and you're listening to Nerd Radio.
Welcome back to Nerd Radio. You can, of course, catch us every Wednesday afternoon, or at least every other Wednesday afternoon as it goes right now, over at robliefieldfeats.com, which will take you right to my Twitch stream. But you can download the podcast every Friday morning, WRAF.com, or wherever you get your podcast as part of the B-Pod Studios network. All right, guys. Well, now we can, now that our guests have vacated the studio,
we can get real nerdy now.
Get into our normal show here.
Not just the casual nerdery we were just discussing earlier.
Yeah. I did feel
dirty.
I did feel a little bit bad for Dave because we started talking and Chuck's like, oh, I know all this stuff too.
I know.
Yeah. And he's just like,
I'm looking at the Twitch stream and like the camera is like right, like it's officially lens on Dave, and he's just kind of like looking back and forth as the conversation's going on, and I could tell by the look on his face, he's like, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
I could be on my way home right now. Like that was the last thing I had to do, and then I agreed to do this dumb shit.
Yep.
Like
this is way nerdier than I expected.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got some news stories for you guys before we get into some of the stuff that we've been watching and playing as far as video games and stuff. I know, James, we got to talk Peacemaker.
Yeah.
This show is something else, man.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
It is something else. But before we get there, Nintendo Switch Online finally adding the Nintendo 64 game this week.
Ooh.
Thursday the 20th of this week, we get Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie,
For the
okay.
Nintendo 64 app.
That's one your wife's a big fan of, right?
She is. She loves. I think she loves the second one specifically.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see if she plays this one and how much she plays this one. Because we were just talking about this last night. I got her for Christmas. She got her own Switch, and then I got her the Tony Hawk game that I was telling her she couldn't.
So she never went out and got it, right?
Right.
Okay.
I made sure to like gaslight her into not buying, like, you've got it at home on the PlayStation, and then she never got it, and then. But she was playing it last night and realizing that when she plays video games, most of the time it's just a game she played, 10, 20 years ago, and she just likes playing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know I don't think she played the first Banjo-Kazooie very much. I don't know how much she's going to play the new one.
Okay.
While we're talking about video games, though, Nintendo, well, specifically SNK, who was doing the Neo Geo Pocket games on the Nintendo, snuck out my favorite Neo Geo Pocket game last week.
Really?
Without announcing it whatsoever.
Pocket Pool.
No, it's called Card Fighters Clash. When they put out the Neo Geo Pocket, they got the rights to do Capcom versus SNK, because SNK did the King of Fighters games and Samurai Showdown and stuff, and Capcom obviously had Street Fighter and a whole bunch of other games.
So these games you're talking about, I have no idea who half the cast is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
who are these SNK characters?
Yeah, SNK, what is that?
I have no idea.
Right. Well, they at one point, those were the two companies making 2D fighters. And obviously, Capcom was more popular, but SNK were very popular over in Japan, and their fighters. Before there was even a fighting game community, it was kind of an accepted thing that the SNK fighters were more technically sound than the Street Fighter games. And they got the rights to finally make Street Fighter versus SNK. And the first one they made was a fighting game on the Neo Geo Pocket that's all little cute versions of the characters. And then they made this game called Card Fighters Clash, which is essentially Magic the Gathering with Street Fighter and Resident Evil and Samurai Showdown characters and stuff, all the different characters.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, they didn't even, I think I said when they started putting Neo Geo Pocket games on there that that's the one I want. And I don't think I'm ever going to get it because they'd have to
There's
get
a lot
the
of money
license
involved
to do it and everything.
A lot of footwork.
And they didn't even announce they were doing it. I opened my Wednesday night. I opened my Switch. I look at the little news segments and stuff, and I saw the screenshot of the cover of the game. I'm like, no way. And I pulled it up, and it was like $8. And
Your wish has been granted.
I've never spent $8 faster in my life on the e-store. And yeah, it's friggin' phenomenal. It's one of my favorite probably digital card games of all time. Because it's simple, but at the same time, it's just like, hey, I know that character, and I have no idea who that character is.
So like if you flip, like, let's say the Claire Redfield card, bam.
Yep.
So then does like an animation take place where she comes up and like shoots somebody with a gun? Or
no, they've got like once again it's like the super deformed animation, because the Neo Geo Pocket was kind of like a color Game Boy.
Okay.
So the graphics weren't great. But you've got like, how you set your cards down in Magic, your creatures, and then you can attack with your creatures.
Yeah.
You've got like essentially 3 slots where you can set down creatures, and everybody is a creature of some sort. Like everybody counts as a fighter, and then you can send your fighters against your opponent, and he can choose which ones to block, and then their numbers bash against each other, and somebody fights. That's the basics of it. But then some of them have abilities that you can tap in order to turn them sideways in order to do. Some have abilities that happen as soon as you put them into play, and some have abilities that only happen when they block somebody. and that's essentially all the rules you need to know to play the game. But it's like I said, it's phenomenal. I think it's probably that and the Pokemon card game on the Game Boy Color, or like the digital card games that I'm like, yeah, this is great.
I didn't realize they made a Pokemon card game too.
They did. It was fun. It was just the first like 3 sets of Pokemon cards. I actually got a Pokemon card story coming up later.
There's a tease.
There you go. So yeah, Card Fighters Clash is on the game on the Nintendo Switch, and I love it. Mentioned Moon Knight earlier. Did you guys check out this trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer. No,
it's pretty neat. Oscar Isaac is going to be Moon Knight.
I've adopted the Al Beck trailer-free lifestyle.
It comes out in March, which I think the Doctor Strange movie is what is it? March or May?
I feel like that's May.
Okay.
I feel like it's a May release right before summertime.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, like the trailer lends itself to like Moon Knight's kind of a horror character, anyways. Like he gets his powers from an ancient Egyptian moon god that wants bad things for the whole planet, and he's got a personality disorder, a multiple personality disorder. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that they adopt for a Disney Plus show.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see that Moon Knight thing. I will say one of the things I noticed when I finally got caught up on Hawkeye is I feel like their shows, for the most part, are getting better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like WandaVision was a little bit weird, but that like the Winter Soldier and Falcon thing was just who cares. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't great.
Yeah.
But I thought Loki was fun, and Hawkeye I thought was great, and I really give credit to the Kate Bishop character. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so I'm like more excited for Moon Knight than I would have been
if they'd have been coming off of
Hawkeye.
if they'd have been coming off of Falcon Winter Soldier.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know about the same thing with What If. Like there's certain episodes of What If that are really good, and there's certain ones like I didn't need to know.
You know what? What If I went into that one thinking to myself like you don't have to watch any of these.
No.
It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just sort of there and it's sort of fun. I like that they got like the actors that they cast to voice their characters still.
Yeah.
That was cool. But that one I put on in the background and just sort of played games on my phone and barely paid attention to it.
I did the same thing with that.
Yeah,
it was just on in the background. Just interesting
like
stuff,
I said, I was at my uncle's house. I had nothing else to do, and I played and had it in the background. And then after I got all the way through What If, I was like, I should really get caught up this weekend. And then I watched Shang-Chi and so forth. But the plan was to go see Spider-Man in the theater, and then girlfriend and I just didn't make it to the theater.
For some reason, this is a hard one to make it to the theater for. Like even me.
You having that problem too?
Well, I finally made it last week. I saw it.
Yep.
I think I saw it in lieu of us recording this.
Oh, gotcha.
This show last week. I think is when I went out and caught it in the theater. It is a sad, sad place to be in a movie theater. In an afternoon, post kind of still COVID times.
Right.
Like, there's nobody there. Like, is this place open? Is this haunted right now? Is there ghosts around?
Well, to me, that is more of a draw.
Absolutely.
But it's, I don't know.
That's how I saw.
Sad.
That's how I saw the Aqua Teen movie.
Okay.
By myself in the middle of the afternoon, nobody else in the theater.
That's funny because nobody else has probably even heard of the Aqua Teen movie.
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, here we go.
That would have been a fun one to see in the theaters.
Yeah, it was.
Just because it's so weird.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of these Marvel people, Anthony Mackie said in a recent interview that he wants to play Panthro in the Thundercats movie.
See right above
they're talking about. Yeah, that's what's going on right there.
Anthony Mackie, look.
I can see it.
Yeah, Thundercats. That'd be cool. So they want to do like a live action Thundercats, or is he?
I think so. Yeah, they've been talking about doing a live action Thundercats movie for years now.
Okay.
And he's like, I grew up with Thundercats. I want to Panthro.
It was a blast from the past when I think they added them to Hulu.
Yeah.
So I remember once we got Hulu hooked up and I started watching that show, I was like, wow. I remember watching this like first grade. And I had the pajamas. And then like I'm like, how did I not remember all this stuff? Like I don't remember the names, Lino, and any of that. Yeah. All I remember is the Thundercats. Oh!
Thundercats was never part of my...
No?
No.
That intro is so good. The animation in the intro is amazing. I can see in the reflection that Al's got it up on YouTube. He's watching it. He's deciding. He's not a cartoon guy either, so.
No, I mean, certainly was when I was a kid, but which is when I would have had this a part of my repertoire. But no, this is not part of my nerdy resume.
They certainly weren't like top tier syndicated cartoon.
No.
Like they were a syndicated cartoon, but I feel like they changed where it was on very often.
It's either that or they must not have been airing with the rest of the Saturday morning cartoon lineup or whatever.
Right.
I feel like it wasn't a typical.
It was a Monday through Friday cartoon, but like your Monday through Friday afternoons were always Transformers, G.I. Joe, Real Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles.
And see, when I was watching Thundercats, I wouldn't have been on that schedule yet. I wasn't doing like school 5 days a week. So it was probably in between kindergarten and first grade is when I had my most exposure to the Thundercats.
Sure.
Because I know, because I can recall getting up on the weekend mornings. I'd watch Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
And I'd turn the channel because I'd get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and watch Tom and Jerry on like either TNT or TBS. And then I'd turn it to like regular basic TV once it hits like 7, 8 o'clock. And that's when the lineup would come in. I'd catch the Real Ghostbusters, maybe Garfield. And that was my cartoon lineup those mornings.
Yeah. It always felt like a personal slight whenever they would take one of those cartoons and put them on like a half hour after I'm in school.
Yep.
Like when they moved the Real Ghostbusters to like Monday through Friday mornings at 10 o'clock. I'm like, I've been in school for an hour and a half by the time Ghostbusters on. Yeah. Why are you doing this to me?
I know. Yeah, you know what though? It's so funny because things like Cartoon Network were so good to us as kids.
Oh yeah.
But also really screwed us because it kind of did away with things like the Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Like
or the syndicated Monday through Friday. You get home from school at 3 or 4
because
o'clock.
Cartoons are just on all day now, but it wasn't necessarily, it didn't make it as appointment television. But man, I think every kid, probably millennial and older, has Saturday morning cartoon memories. Mm-hmm. But by the time you get to like Gen Z, it's like they already had streaming services.
Yeah, you'd watch whenever, and they didn't have to abide by the man's schedule.
Yeah,
I can't have to listen to what the cartoon man says.
I can't find it, but I saw a tweet a couple of days ago that said whenever T-Pain goes to the strip club, the first thing he does is demand that all the TVs are on Cartoon Network.
Does he really?
I don't know if it's true.
That'd be funny.
But that's quite a flex.
I mean, I'd have probably a better time at the strip club with T-Pain than I want some of my buddies.
I want titties and I want cartoons.
Yeah, that's all I need. Now if I go, it's been a long time since I went, but the last time I went, it was strippers trying to mooch cigarettes off me while my friends were getting handies in the back room. And
oh, Jesus.
Where did everybody go? Oh, why am I by myself?
Mike Judge announced that Beavis and Butthead is coming back with a brand new movie on Paramount Plus.
Really?
Yeah, and if you want to take a look behind you, he's got the designs for both Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, they're getting old.
As 40
so they're like they've aged. Now I'm interested.
Yes,
especially with Mike Judge being involved.
Old man Beavis and old man Butthead. They got a little bit of, not surprisingly, Butthead's got a beer gut. Beavis's glasses on.
Yeah, I love it.
He kept his hair
animation. Though. Yeah. Beavis and Butthead is another thing that really wasn't a part of, like, we just weren't allowed to watch it. One, we didn't have cable for a long time.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have access. And then once we had MTV, we were not allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead. So it was not a part of my, but like I have an appreciation for it still.
Yeah.
I did see the movie, but I went back and watched like an episode of the show and it just.
It's so dumb that they put the episodes up on streaming. I think they might even be on Paramount because I think MTV's got that. But like none of the music videos are there, which was the whole thing we attached to when we watched Beavis and Butthead.
You can't watch the music videos?
No.
So you're just watching them play like frog baseball? Or
you just watch the
that's a bummer.
Little
sniffing glue or sniffing
like the 7 to 11 minute thing, and that's your Beavis and Butthead. And like the best part was watching them make fun of like Ween's Push the Little Daisies and make them come up, or a Tesla video or something.
That's funny. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead was not allowed in my house either. Beavis and Butthead is probably what taught me to learn how to use the recall button on the TV remote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Downstairs watching Beavis and Butthead, all of a sudden you hear footsteps.
Yeah.
Recall. Okay, now it's back on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
No, I'm just watching Rocko's Modern Life, Dad. I don't know. I don't know what you heard.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, this is stuff we weren't allowed to watch.
Yeah.
I remember we had a very limited ban on Simpsons in our house, and it was so funny because us kids, we all used to watch it with our dad.
Yeah.
And he would laugh his ass off at it and whatever. And then my mom just walking by one time heard like the one time Homer says damn it or something like that. And she's like, oh, the kids can't watch. And then my dad just turned on it. Man, did he throw us right under the bus. Like, you kids can't watch it. And we're like, but Dad, you used to watch. Oh, I've never watched this show. Sold us right out.
You're like, Daddy used to always quote Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
Don't have a cow, man.
That's
him.
amazing.
So, yeah, he was Judas Simpson in that moment, I'll tell you that.
Like, eat my shorts, Dad.
Netflix announced a couple of weeks ago they are going to do an anime adaptation of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's cool.
Which is going to be pretty neat.
Next. What else you got?
Brian,
I hate that movie so much.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies. Of
I
all
know
time.
it is.
Isn't it based off of the graphic novels?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm assuming the anime is going to be based off the graphic novels. Or the
As
movie?
far as I can tell, they haven't really intimated if it's going to be a brand new thing
Mm-hmm.
or if it's like a continuation of the story or if it's just going to be
Okay.
because the graphic novels were the story was similar. But it went in wildly different directions. Like
Okay.
in the movie, when they fight the twins and they've got like the two monsters that are fighting, the twins have a giant robot in the comic book
Okay.
that they fight against, and the ending is wildly different.
Gotcha.
See, can I tell you that I didn't like that movie very much the first time I saw it, and I didn't remember much about it. So when you told me that how much you liked that movie, since we were doing this podcast, you lent it to me.
Yeah.
And I watched it again, and then when I realized that the So Sad song that we play at the end of this podcast came from that movie, I was so upset. Because I had no idea where that came from. I just, I'd hear it on the podcast.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I watched Scott Pilgrim, and there it is.
Oh, great.
Son of a bitch. I'll get you for this, Chuck Bean.
And then he registered RobLifefieldFeed.com.
That's right.
Took you years, but you finally got me back. Well, here's something that'll make you a little bit happy, Al. Paramount
Yeah, okay.
Paramount Plus has announced Star Trek Picard Season 2 debuts March 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
New episodes weekly after that. And new episodes of Strange New Worlds will drop weekly on Thursdays.
Oh, very cool. What's the date?
March the 3rd.
March the
and
3rd?
then Strange New Worlds makes its debut May 5th.
May 5th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not going to be like within the same week. You're not getting a double dose of Star Trek. But
God, you know what? I really feel like they missed an opportunity of releasing like a new Star Trek on May 4th on Star Wars Day.
Yeah, just to get them.
Just
to stick it to them.
Yeah. But that one I'm really looking forward to. I liked Picard, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping, but I still enjoyed it. Discovery, every week I watch it now, I hate it more and more.
Weren't you tweeting bad things about it?
Oh yeah. No, there's always been something to like in Discovery, even though the show as a whole, as I look back on it, turns out the show as a whole, in my opinion, was not good.
Okay.
There was always something. There was, Captain Lorca in the first season.
There's a character or a story line.
Jason Isaacs, was so good in that. And then season 2 was when we had Pike, and Anson Mount was so good. And season 3 came up, and I was like, I remembered it being better than it was. And so I kind of was holding out hope. And I think it was the end of season 3 with the Voyager thing. Remember when I came in here and had a nerd rant?
Yep.
And then this season has been nothing. There's been absolutely nothing that I've liked about this season at all. I've hated it. But I still watch it because I've seen every episode of Star Trek. And it's like
your commitment.
Okay, here we go. And I was so excited at the end of the most recent episode. They're like, we'll be back in February. I'm like, oh, thank God I got a few weeks off. I want them to cancel it. I really do. I want it to. Please.
John Cena's doing a whole bunch of press for Peacemaker.
Yeah.
And revealed in one of the interviews that the quote was, "I can't tell you how many superhero roles I've been rejected for."
Really?
Yes. He said Shazam was one of them.
Okay.
That he wanted to be in Shazam, and he had a brief try at the Deadpool universe. So probably not as Deadpool, maybe as Colossus.
John Cena
he was
Colossus.
almost Colossus.
Could he have been Cable?
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead they cast Thanos.
Yeah. But yeah, he said this is he's really excited about the fact that like he's finally broken in as far as superheroes.
Superhero. Yeah, I wonder why they would say no to him for some superhero roles. Like, I wonder.
It is fascinating to think that John Cena shows up for your superhero movie and you're like, nah, we can do better.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you have like a character or you're doing a superhero movie where there's a lot of humor and comedy involved.
Yeah.
I think he's your perfect candidate. And that's not just coming from John Cena fanboyness.
Yeah.
That's just, I think he's got some range as an actor to an extent.
Yeah.
And I think he really is his best when he's in a comedic buff role, He's always playing like the bad guy who turns nice guy at the end, you know? But I think he's perfect like in the role that he's doing right now as Peacemaker.
I thought he was great in Suicide Squad. I really thought he did a good job. I know he's acted in enough stuff at this point, but I can't tell you honestly that I've seen very much John Cena as an actor.
Right.
You know, I've barely seen him as a wrestler, but you know what I mean? But like, you know, Suicide Squad's really the first time I really sat and watched him act, other than maybe a cameo here and there. And I thought he did great.
And like his cameos are what changed my whole view on him, because he was in Trainwreck. You know,
yeah,
with,
that's fantastic.
Amy Schumer. And his lines in the movie theater when he's threatening the guy, he's threatening to lick a guy's butthole. I'm like, oh my God, that is so funny. I can't believe John Cena said that.
Yeah.
And then he plays a drug dealer in Sisters. And like after that, I'm like, John Cena is awesome. Like he's hilarious. Like he's buff. Like I've never seen a man so ripped and like looks so good with his shirt off. And he's also hilarious. Why do I hate him so much? I like John Cena.
Yeah.
And like that's what, you know.
That would turn you around.
Yeah.
But Peacemaker, the show's been good though.
Yeah,
So far.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah. There's some weird
really
oddball stuff.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's The Boys, but somehow it's got more heart.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Once again, if that's something you haven't seen, then maybe we'll do a spoiler thing in the last segment here, and me and James can talk about it. But
but Peacemaker is great.
it's
like,
really, really good.
because the Peacemaker, he's like essentially he's an idiot savant. Like he's an idiot, but he knows how to. He's a master at killing mofo's.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like a tough ass son of a bitch. But
I think if I have one complaint about it is I wish
you saw him in as what he thought he's more.
I wish John Cena could have gotten this role like 10 years earlier.
Oh yeah, dude, that would have been.
Because I mean, it's not that he's not good at it. It's just I wish that he'd have gotten it as young as say Chris Evans got to be Captain America.
Okay, yeah. So I'm saying you're saying he's a little bit too old to be in this role in a way.
I don't know. I mean, obviously he's in great shape, but I don't know what his longevity is as far as being in this type of, whether it's superhero movies or just as Peacemaker. And whereas, like, you see Chris Evans as Captain America, it's like, oh, he can be Captain America for, like, the next 20 years. He'd be fine.
Well, this is a news flash and exclusive to RobLiefeldFeet.com. Chuck Bean is an ageist.
Oh.
The oldest guy in this room.
I know. I'm rounding the corner on 45 this year, and I'm like, man, I don't even like me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's self-loathing.
But I will say that Peacemaker, I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. I don't know if it was mentioned in here. I totally missed it.
Yeah.
Or I just like was thinking the movie.
You didn't see the end of the movie after the credits, huh?
I guess not.
Oh.
So they did reveal there's going to be a show or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was released in the news that there was going to be a show.
Right.
But then when you go and see the movie, there's a scene at the very end where that leads directly into the show.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe I interpreted that as another movie or something like that. I didn't realize it was going to be a
I
series.
guess it could be interpreted that way, too.
But
I don't want to spoil. I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to spoil Suicide Squad ending.
Right. But no, I had a feeling that we weren't done with Peacemaker. I didn't realize there was a series, though. So when I saw it on HBO Max come up, I was like, oh, maybe this is like a little mini featurette thing or something, like a mini movie. And then when I clicked on it, I was like, this is a series?
Yeah.
3 episodes to start.
Mm-hmm.
Which once you get to the end of the 3rd episode, it makes sense why they went with 3. If they'd have just given us 2,
perfect setup,
then it would have been a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes me wonder, like, how many episodes are there going to be?
I think they said
8,
I think there's like 8.
10.
I think there's 8. I believe there's 8
because
there's 5 more weeks of Cena.
The premise actually lends itself to like we could do this.
Actually,
for
what's
years.
today? Isn't no? It's tomorrow night. Tomorrow's the next episode.
Thursday's when they.
So today's
Boba
Fett. Boba Fett Day. Right before John Cena Day.
Those are both high up on my list, though, is to get caught up on Boba Fett and Peacemaker.
But yeah, if you enjoyed the Suicide Squad, I think you will definitely enjoy the Peacemaker.
So. I'm excited for it. We did as you pointed out, I don't watch trailers, but I did watch the trailer for Peacemaker because Whitney was on the fence about watching it, and she thought it looked stupid, but she thinks everything looks stupid. So we were watching that Don't Look Up movie, the new one on Netflix, and I think it's great. We got a little too late, so I got to finish it today. But like we were halfway through the movie, she's like, "This movie's stupid to me now. You can finish it without."
Oh, you're like, thanks.
Okay. But I mean, like, it's funny.
Amy will do that to me on rare occasions where I'll like start a movie and she'll realize she hasn't been paying attention for almost a half an hour, and she'll be like, "I'm gonna have to watch this. We're gonna another time because I'm just not having it."
Well, the move that Whitney pulls on me all the time is I'll start watching a show on my own. We'll say it's Peacemaker.
Sure.
I start watching Peacemaker. She walks in halfway through the 2nd episode and says, "Wow, this is really good. You're not allowed to watch this without me." I go, "Okay, whatever." And I Most of our shows we don't agree on, so
Yeah.
like we don't have a lot that we watch together. So like I actually like it when we have a show that we watch together.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no problem. But we've also got weird work schedules, and
Right.
they always sync up. So we, like 3 weeks go by of new episodes piling up, and now we're like 5 behind.
Yep.
And we pick up that 3rd episode halfway through that. She goes, "This is stupid. I don't want to watch it anymore." I'm like, "I said waited for you. I waited." Like, and that's a very common move around our house.
That might just be like a significant other thing. I don't know, because my wife, Eternals. I'm like, hey, here's the thing. I know you want to see Peacemaker. I won't watch that without you. I will wait till you get home. What about Eternals? Can I watch Eternals? She's like, no, I want to watch that too. Okay, well, we had a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can watch it this weekend, right? Guess who would never watch Eternals? How did we not find time to watch Eternals? Yet you are completely caught up on the 16 and pregnant OGs or whatever on TV.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell you everything that's happened to every single one of those girls that got pregnant,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell you what happens to Camille in Eternals.
And the two of you had a thing around The Boys, right? Like you had a problem. You had problems catching up with the first season of The Boys or something like that.
Oh, is it?
I can't. I thought it was The Boys. It was something, but I
don't remember what it was. But yeah, no, there was issues with trying to get caught up on certain shows.
I'm always suspicious that Amy, like if it's something like Boba Fett, if we don't watch it the day it comes out, I'm always suspicious that she's probably seen it before I have.
She's going to sneak behind your
Snuck,
back and watch
snuck
it.
in and watched it before I have, and then when we watch it, it's her second time.
Right.
All right, well, just a couple more stories, and we'll take a short break here. The first being that the big news as far as video games are concerned this week is that Microsoft
Oh my
is
God, the
supposed to
juggernaut.
buy Activision Blizzard for $70 billion.
Wait, what was that?
Microsoft,
Okay.
makers of the Xbox,
Yep.
are going to be buying Activision.
Okay, they're buying. Okay.
Yes, Activision Blizzard, who've had obviously huge problems in the last year or so with their culture and sexism and racism and all sorts of bad things going on.
But
And
also, they put out some of the most popular games.
That's what I
ever
was going to say. I
made.
mean,
Call of Duty, World of Warcraft,
Yep.
Overwatch,
even
what-
I knew.
yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for this podcast, I wouldn't know what Bethesda was. You know what I mean? But like,
But when
even
Microsoft
I
buys
know
them,
Activision and Blizzard.
Right.
You know?
It's like they own everything but the Final Fantasy.
yeah, the
Right.
Square Enix people.
Like, that's like what is left for them to buy.
And
Well,
that's
that's the crazy part too. Is just like when they bought Bethesda, if they buy Activision and then Overwatch 2 comes out in the next year or so, they can be like, no, it's an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, I mean they have so much power right now in the gaming world. It's kind of scary, to be honest. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trust them because I'm an Xbox boy. I'm an Xbox boy.
Well, and they
boy.
seem to be really good about, like Game Passes on the PC or anything that they put out on the Xbox that they don't
Yes.
want to give to Sony. They'll be like, well, you can get it on the PC as well.
But imagine now, any game you want to play, if you don't play it on the Xbox, what if you have to wait a year to play it on the PlayStation now?
Right.
Like they could do that. They could say, hey, we are going to release it for the Xbox, and then in 6 months you can play with it, Sony.
That's what Square Enix did with the Final Fantasy remake. Is it PlayStation 4 got it first, and a year later it finally hit the PC.
If they wanted to be rural dicks, they could just say, you know what? Xbox PC exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah,
You know?
I know we don't see as much of the exclusive thing as we used to. We see it still, but not
Right.
as much as we used to. But I could totally see them sitting on it for a little while, because it'll move more Xbox consoles, But I guess the danger that you run there is, I guess they
won't sell as many
almost have a
titles.
monopoly. I was just gonna,
Yes.
what I was just gonna say was the danger they run into is there's a new Warcraft game and they're holding that back for a year or whatever, and then by the time they release it to PlayStation, some other big game is out.
Right.
But it's like, but they own that one too. So like
Yeah.
that's the problem, and that's why you're not supposed to have monopolies. That's why it's not allowed in the business world. But that's crazy. I could see that.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild it's just
Because
like watching Disney Plus swallow up all these other, or Disney swallow up,
Yeah.
Star Wars and Marvel and all this. Like,
And
That's
that does-
a perfect comparison.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I don't know. In my opinion, I know I'm a PlayStation guy, even though I don't really play much, so this doesn't really
Right.
affect me. But I do feel like Sony has put out a better product. I feel like their consoles tend to be a little more powerful, and like they just seem to have really they're very close. And
Yeah.
it comes down to really personal preference. But I do feel like the only thing that keeps Xbox going is the fact that you like it better. for whatever reason, because I
Right.
feel like Sony puts out a better product.
Because I feel like it used to be either you're into Halo or you're into
God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to always be like
Uncharted.
that. Yeah, you choose sides depending on the game you prefer to play.
Yeah.
But now those lines are
Well,
kind of blurred.
Sony's tended to, and it's not even necessarily a dig on Microsoft. They've always seemed to release their product after the Xbox,
Right.
So they have the chance to look at the Xbox and be like, "That's awesome, but we're gonna do that plus this."
Yeah, the same thing Nintendo used to do when I was younger, when it came like, okay, Sega released a thing, that's cool, but we can do you one better. Here's the Super Nintendo. It's way
we'll make it
better than
family
Genesis.
friendlier.
Right.
Your Sega Genesis.
And it's also fascinating that, in this day and age, when you've got the Xbox and the Sony thing, like, Nintendo is a player.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Mario, Zelda. Like, they still put out one of these games every 2 to 3 years and make tons of money. And the only place you're playing it is on a Nintendo system.
Yep.
They're a bigger player than they have been in a long time.
Yeah.
Because probably since the 64.
Those Wii and Wii U years were real lean.
Yeah, and even the GameCube too. I feel like the 64 was the last time Nintendo was a juggernaut in the video gaming world.
When the Wii first came out, it was a big deal because everyone was like, "Oh, this is fun, motion controls," and then
it,
we all broke our TVs.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
it died down.
I feel like it was more of a flash in the pan thing, though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't even realize the Wii U was the thing for a long time. Until someone was like, "No, it's the Wii U." I'm like, "What the hell is the Wii U?" Like,
Right.
university, like you went to a college, like you went to Wii college. I don't know. What are you trying to tell me? Like,
I
no, it's
graduated from Wii U with a doctorate in Zelda.
Yeah, but like, wow, that sounds really, really great. But what? Please translate that to me.
So there's a new Uno. It's called Uno All Wild, and it's nothing but wild cards. So there's no colors involved whatsoever.
Oh my god, how do you play that?
It's they've got the wild cards will have skips and plus draw twos and reverses, but they're just wild cards. You don't have to deal with what color.
So it's a battle of who gets the most draw two cards.
It's a battle of dicks, is what it is.
Yeah.
What an a-hole. Just like, ha! Draw 2. We'll draw 4, mother effer.
It's like you get a target a +2. Is that what that one means?
Yeah, you can, if you're playing like multiple players, you can be like, you have to draw +2, not the next guy in.
What does the double circle with the line through it?
I
mean?
think it's like maybe a double skip.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but like if I drew, here's a question. When I used to play Uno, if it was just me and you, if it was down to me and you, and we were playing Uno, when I hit you with a +2, you didn't get to take a turn. You had to draw 2, so I could take another turn. It was just like getting hit with a skip or a reverse. If it was just 2 people and you hit reverse,
Yeah, no.
well, I get to play again.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
thing.
your turn is drawing.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
reverse wild card, draw 4. Oh,
So
right.
if the 3 of us were playing Uno, and I hit him with a draw 2, and he played a draw 2, would you have to draw 4?
I think it depends on if you play with that rule on.
Yeah.
And I only know that from
'Cause that's
watching Austin Creed. And
Yes, because that's a rule that
Really? That's
that they
you
would.
you pass it along. So then if you had a draw 2, you could have played that, and then he'd be picking up 6.
Yeah, exactly. You could like continuously pass this. If you've got the same card in a different color, you would lay it down, or like draw 4s, the wild cards that are draw 4s. If I hit him with a wild card, then he hits you with a wild card. Now you're up to 8. But if you've got a wild card, now you put it back on me, and I'm up to 12.
30 dozen, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's too much for me.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah,
to
so I
me
think
it
you
would have
could
been
turn the rule on and off.
Chuck plays a draw 2, James
draws
draws 2 cards, and then I get to
then you
play
get a
on the
turn.
color.
Right.
Either the color or another draw 2 in order to change the color.
Right.
Is how I would have played it.
Fascinating. And while we're talking about card games, did you guys see Logan Paul's video?
He bought fake Pokemon cards, you dummy.
Bought a case that was supposed to be first edition, first run of Pokemon cards. Paid $3.5 million for this case. And when he opened the boxes, they were full of G.I. Joe card packs.
It'd be kind of cool to get those G.I. Joe cards, but not for $3.5 million.
No, they certainly aren't worth that.
Could you imagine having that kind of FU money?
$3.5 million on a case of Pokemon cards?
You know, like I just
Jesus
that's
Christ.
just $3.5 million. It's nothing. I'm like, $3.5 million pays off a house that buys me like 12 cars.
Not to mention $3.5 million on the chance that it's what it's supposed to be. And
That'd
like
be
there
like me
was-
going on the Wish app and spending $1 million on a John Cena action figure.
Yeah. I mean, it might be John Cena.
Yeah.
It
No,
might
I mean,
not.
Yeah.
That really sounds like a sweet deal, because I'll tell you right now, if I spent $3 million on Pokemons, I've run out of things to spend money on. You know what I mean? So, like, by all means.
As the
I
rules
wish
run out of pizza.
Man, how
Yeah.
much pizza is $3.5 million?
A lifetime.
Good Lord.
I mean, oof.
Maybe half a lifetime.
No, if you like
that much pizza, I'm going to be dead.
At least 12 more titties on me. Is how much pizza?
He ate 12 titties worth of pizza. Look at him. He grew them.
Yeah.
He looks like a cat nursing.
I was just going to say I'd look like a pup, like I was feeding puppies.
Yeah. Want to suckle that one? No, I think I'm going to pass. Thanks for the offer, though, Al.
Do you guys all remember Peter Griffin feeding Stewie?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
You remember that, but you weren't allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead.
Well, yeah, I was a little older.
You were an adult by then.
Family Guy came
By the time
out.
Family Guy and South Park were a thing, you're like, I make my own TV decisions.
Well, yeah, at that point in time, they realized, Al, there's no hope, so just let him watch with him.
Yeah.
There's no saving him.
All right, well, let's take a break. When we come back, me and James are going to talk some Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And we'll get heavy into Peacemaker. And Al, well, he hasn't seen either of those things, so I guess you're going home.
All right.
Oh, early dismissal. Look at that.
Look at that. I wasn't even campaigning for it this time.
All right, well, your call. If you want to stick around and get spoiled, it's up to you. Nerd
I am
Radio.
going to spoil the crap out of Spider-Man.
No, I'm gonna do the Dave Hunter.
Nerd Radio is coming back.
Slide out the door.
Whoop.
Irish goodbye.